Hey guys, this is Shay Jose coming back at you with another tutorial. Today we'll be looking at making or remaking actually the lead or one of the leads from kAAST's new track Leaving Earth, which appeared on the latest Circle YouTube video that happened just a couple of weeks ago. I'll just give you a little bit of a play of the sound that we are remaking so you get a feel for what we're doing. So I only play that because I don't want to get copyright strikes. So this is the lead that we actually came up with. And then I'll walk you through on how to actually make it. And together with a track. Now, I think they've actually laid another synth in there, so this is probably as close as I could get to it without actually knowing what synthesizer they actually use. So, let me walk you through the process on how I put this together. And yeah, you'll be able to download this preset if you're part of my Patreon program. For more links down below. So, first of all, let's just initiate a new Serum instance. So, we've got this guy, where is he? This guy here. Okay, perfect. All right, so the first thing we'll do is we will just go into the first oscillator, go into basic MCB, about there. The wet dry position, bring it up to about 39. Set the voices to about 6. And the blend, leave it where it is. The phase band, all leave it where it is. And then we'll move on to, and bring it down 1 octave. Move on to the second oscillator, bring this down 1 octave and change the waveform to basic CW. Like so. Move the wave position up to about roughly 78 or thereabouts. 4 voices of unison onto this one. Detune it slightly to taste to about there. Make sure the blend is about there, so they're about equal. On the other oscillator, don't forget to actually detune this slightly as well to about 0.10. We will then move on to the filter section. Make sure you set both oscillators to go to the filter. MG12 is fine. Bring down the cutoff to roughly about 180. Bring up the resonance a little bit. The drive up to about 40%, 35 to 40%. The fat up to about 30%. We'll turn on the noise oscillator and make sure that you trigger this on. We'll leave it to AC hum. That's fine. The level is fine. So the tricky part in this synth is actually getting it to, as you can hear, it sounds very boxy at the moment. It's actually in the envelopes and what envelopes are controlling what. So we'll just go to envelope 1 to start off with. And what we might do is we might just drag the attack a little bit to about 170, about 175, 72, thereabouts. The hold will actually increase this to about 967 because we want that sound to actually continue going past the initial hit of the key and the velocity. Decay, you can leave this up a little bit to maybe about 109, 111, thereabouts. And then what we want to do is we want to drop the sustain all the way down. The release at 15 is fine. You can leave that where it is. As you can hear, we've got more of a whomp sort of sound coming through now rather than the pluckier sound that we had in there before. Moving across to envelope 2. We'll put the attack on this one to about 113. About there, a little bit less, 115. About there, that's alright. Set the hold to about 870. 170, down. It's probably easy if I just type it. 870, 76 will be fine. Set the decay to about 1.48 and set the sustain down to 0. The release can stay at 15, that's fine. So what we want to do now is actually grab envelope 2 and put it on top of the cutoff and just move it down, slide about maybe about 21, 23. And you can see that we're starting to get that sound, that whomp sound now, a little bit more controlled. The cutoff actually now opens a little bit more when we hit it. Go into envelope 3. And what we want to do is actually bring this all the way down. You can lift the attack where it is, the hole all the way down. The decay probably to about 174. Lift the sustain and the release where it is. Moving on to LFO 1. We want to bring this down to about there. Lift the BMP and arc, these two on. Leave it at a quarter and off. And what we want to do with this LFO is we want to actually get the LFO to control the movement on the waves on each of the oscillators. If you hear the sound, there's a little bit of movement in the oscillators. That's not from the ducking and the side chaining to the kick, but it's actually within the synths. It's very, very slight, very just not too much on it. So what we'll do is we'll try to mimic that with the LFO. So what we can do is grab LFO 1. Put it on top of this oscillator B and bring this down to roughly about 24. We will do the same with oscillator A. So put the LFO down, bring this down to roughly about 60. Let me have a look, about the 60, thereabouts. Yep, that's good enough. And what we want to do is we actually want to bend oscillator A. We want to bend this plus or negative to oscillator B. We want to bring this up to roughly about 57% or negative 57%, about there. And the sound is pretty much there. Okay, moving on to the effects section. We want to set the EQ to basically roll off all the low ends where possible. So you want to bring this down. Now you can do this externally with any equalizers that you have in your DAW. For the sake of simplicity, I've actually just added it here. But you can do this all external. The frequency you can leave where it is. We just want to basically bring up the gain a little bit on the frequency. Move this maybe slightly down. So we're cutting out all the lows essentially in this sound. Moving on, we'll put some hyperdimension on here. Bring down the mix to about 30%. Bring the size all the way down. The rate's fine and the mix is fine there as well. Moving on, we want to grab a delay and we want to set this to ping pong delay. Bring this down to 117, about there, with a Q of about 0.8. So if we move this down a little bit more, that's about it, right? And as you can hear, there's a bit of a delay coming here through, so it's still allowing some of that dry signal to come through, which is nice. Put a little bit of flanger on here. On the flanger, we basically just want to leave the mix at 100%. The rate is fine, the depth is fine, feed and phase is fine. So moving on, we'll add a distortion plugin to this. So we want to just leave it on tube distortion. Bring it around to about 1320. It's fine. The drive is about fine. We want to bring the mix down on this a little bit. You can hear that's already coming through. The sound is actually starting to come through a little bit more. You can hear the phasing is in there as well. And the distortion just gives it that extra little grit. Moving on, we'll put some chorus into this. The chorus will leave the rate where it is. The mix we might just bring down to about 27%. The delays are fine, the depth is fine, and the low pass filter is fine. Moving on, we'll just add some reverb as well onto this sound. The reverb, you can leave the size where it is. Might just bring the mix down slightly, decay slightly, and everything else you can just leave as default. Last but not least, we'll add the compressor. Now, we'll want to change this to multiband, and you want to actually increase the threshold value, and we want to increase the gain slightly. Leave the attack. The mix, we want to probably bring this down to about there. And that is pretty much the sound. So if we were to copy this down the bottom, that is the sound there. The only other thing that you could do, which I did on this, is actually just add a hard rate reverb and a compressor. You can also maybe add some overdrive to this if you actually want to make it a little bit grittier, to actually emphasize that initial attack on the pluck as well. So that's it, guys. That's the sound there. So this will be available for my patrons to download for free. Like I said, I'll probably do some more small tutorials like this for some sound design that you can download. And feel free to subscribe below to my Patreon, or if you want, just follow the video through. It's a pretty easy sound to make. You can follow this along and recreate it yourself. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at ShayJose, and make sure you give this video a like and a thumbs up, and hit the bell notification icon so you will be alerted next time a new video goes up. Alright guys, until next time, I'll catch you around.